Hello, legends. Boy, have I got a guest who's returned for you. This man, this former Royal Marine, has just made the longest climb of Everest. Take a look at this. Well, I hope he's got his voice back. Let's get into it. Mitch, welcome back.
See you, mate.
Brother, it's amazing, isn't it, that we chatted before.
Yeah,
Um, little did we know when we chatted before, you were with the Atlantic Dagger. I'm just going to show the Instagram here. The Atlantic Dagger Royal Marines transatlantic rowing team, and you just crossed the Atlantic to Barbados. And little did we know then that you would have climbed Everest, and I will be climbing Everest.
absolutely. It's very strange, mate. That's the first podcast I ever did, and yeah, I did Atlantic. You followed now Everest, and you're doing it next year. There's a nice pattern going on.
Yes. So let me just start by saying massive congratulations.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Friends at home, Mitch swam the English Channel, cycled to, was it India, Mitch?
Yeah,
Then
12,000 k to India, to sea level in India.
then ran to Everest and
Ran 900 k to Kathmandu from sea level, and then 360 k from Kathmandu, yomped to base camp before Everest.
utterly unreal. And I'd say if there's a, I don't think there's a better way to get Instagram subscribers so quickly, is there?
Oh, mate, no, it's just having a great team. I've been having someone who took a chance on us, and yeah, but yeah, persistence and hard work pays off, buddy.
Absolutely. So I don't know in which order to do this, but let's just go back to the beginning then. Quickly, can we chat about your time in the Marines?
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Only about 5.5 years old at 4 5, and I wouldn't. I thank it so much. I wouldn't change a second, even the crap times. It helps forge that mindset that's needed to get through this kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just such a pillar. Such a pillar to and a foundation for everything. And it was kind of like the first big dream ticked off. My dad died the year before I joined, and that's why I joined. Kind of the big factor throughout all of my expeditions, and this, has been him. So to have ticked off that first massive dream, it was so important.
Yes, you meet a lot of nice blokes in the Corps.
Definitely.
Not everyone's nice, but there is that.
Absolutely.
There's like a common thread, though, isn't there? That you really do. It's almost weird that we joined up to do the job that we did. When you think how bloody nice a lot of them blokes were.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it attracts. I think it just attracts, the kind of people that already have that predisposition. You know what I mean? You don't join in. You don't learn the mindset if you don't have it obviously when you join, you're not going to get through. So I just think it brings a lot of lads who think the same together.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And did you struggle at all when you left the Corps mentally, or?
Well, I was quite lucky. So no, I mean, I mean, we joined about 2 years after Afghan, and I was lucky enough not to have to go see or go through half the stuff which you did. But my many of my friends did that I know that had been in a lot longer. So it was all right for me because I didn't have that, and obviously hadn't been in for like 10, 20 years. like a lot of the lads. So I didn't have that big like transition. And I joined at 21. I'd already lived in Australia. I'd worked for 3 years before in the real world, so it wasn't a massive transition. But it was because I left literally during COVID. I left in March 2021. So it was a little bit nerve wracking.
Yes, and your background is in zoology. That's got to be a first.
Yeah, there weren't many. There weren't many people who had like studied zoology and had worked with animals and in zoos and stuff. But it was just, yeah, it was all something I thought I'd get back to one day, maybe. But yeah, I just wanted to get that dream done, and see what happened with it.
Yeah, and what was your motivation? I mean, it's almost a bit cliche, isn't it? I want to work with children and animals, but
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
not saying that to put it down whatsoever. It's just that very few people probably follow it through.
No, that was it. Like I got to like the end of school, and it was like I want to do one. I want to either do fitness or like wildlife conservation, like animal stuff. So I just chose that just because it was something I was a bit more passionate about. And yeah, and then after that, for a few years, I never really done anything with it. Too much.
This is
Just
how
a
I
few bits here and there. Working in like one particular zoo and stuff, and nothing crazy. But then yeah, then kind of life got in the way because then I went to Australia to live there for a year with my dad's family. But then I got the call that he had like 2 weeks to live, so that kind of changed things a little bit. And then that just changed the entire dynamic of my life. You know, that was like such a big key moment. And yeah, but that's why everything kind of falls into place now because not only we're raising hopefully a shit ton of money for this charity which we'll go into later for SABSIM. So now it's like I get to combine helping veterans mental health, people struggling with mental health, and wildlife conservation at the same time simultaneously.
Yes, that was one of the charities I'm guessing for.
Yeah, yeah. So ever since SAVSIM, they're a small organisation based out of London. So they've only been operating for 3 years now. So they've literally made a mental health course using wildlife and nature to treat veterans transitioning into civil life. It's awesome. So they're partnered with London Zoo and Whipsnade Zoo. So they run 2 courses a year at the moment. So literally, you go there like live on the zoo for a week, 5 days. Sorry, like they've got glamping pods and stuff on the like pods on the zoo, like working with the animals, like yoga, just all. Completely scientific based kind of mental health course called the Warriors of Hope course. So it's literally called the Warriors of Hope course. But not only that, that's just half of what they do. The other half of what they do is that they utilize the skills of veterans that are leaving, and send them to like Africa to do anti-poaching projects, trade to do also anything from tracking to poaching to anti-poaching to med courses to dog training. Like yeah, so they utilize the skills of these guys and girls who were struggling by sending them to do. So for yeah, it was just incredible. I came across them the year after I rode the Atlantic because obviously it was only a couple of weeks before I met you for the first time on the podcast. That's where the idea for this came into my head. The whole idea for this expedition was literally born, buddy, on that shift. On that 3 hour shift for 7 weeks across the Atlantic. And so the year after I got back, just before cycling across the US, I came across them randomly. I found a number on like the company's house online for a charity I thought it was, and it was a different charity answered by a different guy. Next thing you know, we're on the phone for 40 minutes, and he's telling me how they help veterans by using wildlife, and I was just like, right, this is spot on. The next thing you know, I cycle across the US for them, um, get a few quid for them, and then yeah, obviously by that point, this has been a 4 year process to get this expedition done. I was full steam ahead to attempt this mad challenge. So yeah, and it's just been great. And now I'm like their ambassador.
Awesome. We'll come on and talk about your cycle across the states. And another irony, we haven't even discussed this. I've I've just got a rather expensive gravel bike, rather cheap,
Nice.
to cycle the Tour Divide. So from
Good. Yeah.
for friends at home, that's I'm going to cycle down the Rocky Mountains from Canada to Mexico after I've climbed Everest. But
It's kind of like the PCT version, but a bike trail, isn't it?
yes,
That's awesome. That's
yes.
awesome.
Coming back to, we'll put links, folks, for the charity below. It sounds absolutely just where we need to be heading with respect to mental health and and veterans' mental health.
Absolutely, mate.
But I mentioned earlier, wasn't it sad? I was there going fishing one day with my son in Plymouth, and he looked down from the pontoon as we were getting on the boat, and he said, "Look, Daddy, there's a boat exactly the same as yours." And I looked down, and there was the sister boat to Isabel, which we rowed, Louis and I rowed the Atlantic in, and it was Danielle.
Yeah, my boat.
Yes, the boat that you rowed the Atlantic in.
Exact
And
same one.
and it had gone obviously to a subsequent crew, one of whom was called Craig. So Craig and I got in contact, former Marine. They were all a crew of Marines. And sadly, he took his own life recently
Bloody horrible, mate.
after leaving what can only be described as just such a sad Facebook post that said, "Hello, hello, folks. I love you all. It's been an absolute pleasure. But by the time you read this, I'll no longer be with you." And I wish he could have seen the response. There were thousands of responses, huge part from Marines saying, "Mate, no, not the way." I just immediately picked up the phone and there was no answer. I was trying to call him on Facebook. There was no answer. I'm calling Brucey. I'm calling, I'll call his skipper to see if anyone. And so, yes, more congratulations again, mate, on that front.
No, mate, it's just horrible. I mean, all we can do is try our best to talk to people and let them know it's okay to speak. Like I said to you earlier, like it's that hit home with me a little bit because, as I say, my cousin called Craig hung himself a few, 8 years ago now, which was a big kind of reason for this. Exact same thing, like out of nowhere, no one knows. It's like, so yeah, it's kind of going to be a mission now to try and spread as much positivity as possible.
Yes, absolutely. So there you are. You're doing your rowing shift, few
Yeah,
hours on, few hours off,
that's it, mate. That's it.
and you've come up with this idea.
Yeah, I just remember speaking to Connor, my rowing partner. Like I was like, we must have been about 1,000 miles across, and I was, as you know, most mad adventures are born amidst mad adventures. So it was like, God, what's next? And I don't even know how it happened, really. I just remember thinking about Everest because Everest has always been the catalyst. Everest has always been the dream. Ever since I was 5, and I picked up a book from my nan, and I always wanted to climb Everest from zero. So to climb Everest from sea level, to go from zero to the top of the planet, it's I thought that would be really cool. But also, in the back of my mind was always swimming the channel. For me, just the kind of physical challenge of it. 5 times more people have summited Everest and have swum the channel. So that kind of raw physical challenge had always been one of the other big backburning dreams in my head. And I just remember like literally rowing along with Connor one day, and I just had like a light bulb moment where I was like, "Oh, fuck! If we just link the middle bit, if I can just link the middle bit and cycle across the planet, it kind of becomes a triathlon." And then I was like, "All right, so we'll swim the channel, we'll cycle from France to India, then we'll run from India." We'll run and hike from India to Everest and then climb it. And it just kind of like weirdly fell into place. Like I remember thinking about the time scales, like, leaving late summer, getting hit in the Middle East in like November, Christmas time, and how even like, not cycling through like the Arabian desert or Iran during summer, it always actually works quite well, but also gives me enough time to, you know, that I broke it down, the mileage and everything. I was like, that's doable. You need to allow quite a lot of cushion time for injury, sickness, logistics, bureaucracy, visas. You know what I mean? And I was like, it gives enough time to like, if there's fuck ups, don't get me wrong, not a lot. If there'd been one or two major like sicknesses or injuries, it would have been game over. I was still averaging 140k on the bike for 4 months straight, non-stop
That's
for
that's why most people don't consider it, though, Mitch, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But I knew it was possible, so I just wanted to show people like what is possible. And so yeah, just Mad. I just took the plunge. I quit TP February last year with 6 months to go, without a penny in my pocket, knowing I had to raise at least 100 grand or something. And it was, well, more than that when I had the team come along. And it was just, yeah. So I just spent the next 6 months making 1,000 phone calls, going to meetings, going to events, and somehow managed to get just like 10% of what was needed to get started. Not even knowing if we'd make it to the end of Europe, let alone the Middle East, Asia, Everest. And somehow just little bit by bit, people started to believe in it a bit more. And yeah, so yeah, got through on blind optimism.
And did you have the money? I mean, Everest is not cheap, as we both know.
Oh, that's for sure.
Um, I should hold my hand up here and say that I'm just in talks at the moment about getting everything paid for me in terms of sponsorship. Did you have the money together before you left, or
Oh no, 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 no! I didn't have the money to pay for Everest until Pakistan. So I literally left first 3 quarters of the trip. Didn't even know whether I'd get to the end and be able to pay for Everest. It was, but luckily about halfway through a mutual sponsor, like I say, this Adrian AGA Adventures, they reached out to me and offered. Don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of money, but they were like very flexible about it and really really supportive of the expedition and stuff. And it was just like that kind of mentality you just needed from someone like, we'll make it work. Like, we'll make it work, you know. And still paying them that, still paying them off now. But sponsors have done it. It's done now. And I've been so lucky, yeah, that just so lucky to have for it to have all paid off. And yeah, just so thankful, mate.
yeah, it is amazing. I was on the Atlantic for a big part of it, obviously, for 50
Yeah,
days, and
yeah,
the build up to around the Atlantic, as you know, especially as a 2-man crew, where I kind of I had to do a lot, obviously, so I feel guilty that I didn't get involved
ah, it needs to.
beforehand. But the truth is, I didn't get to hear that you were doing it until we were on the Atlantic in January.
Nice. I actually heard why you're on the Atlantic, why you're actually rowing.
Yeah, I just come across it. I'm like, Lou, look what Mitch is doing. He's actually swam the channel. Da, 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 da. Swimming the channel, I think everyone who's done a bit of swimming would love. That's the kind of holy grail, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's like the Everest of swimming, and like that's why I was so nervous. 95% of my training before I left was just swimming, like just a little bit of cycling, and like it was all swimming because, like, well, day one it could have all been over in day one, and it very, very nearly was, mate. And it was, yeah, I knew it would be the biggest challenge by far. That and Everest, the two parts that are completely in nature's control, completely you're at the mercy of nature, and it was that made it scary. You know what I mean? So I only had 6 months to train for the channel. I say I quit work in February. I only had literally between February and September to train, having not really done any open water swimming before. I've never swam as part of a club. I've never swam competitively, nothing like that. I just found myself like a kind of like a coach, not a coach, but yeah, a coach, but like a kind of group that does coaching, that does channel swimming coaching. Flew over to Croatia for a week, and just got absolutely smashed. 2 hours in the pool in the morning, 2 to 3 hours in the ocean in the afternoon, every day for 6 days straight. Finishing with a 6 hour swim, because you have to do a 6 hour qualifying swim, so you have to swim for 6 hours non-stop without touching anything,
Mm.
in 16-degree water, obviously with no wetsuit, to even qualify to swim the channel. But I was really lucky, yeah, that back I managed to get, because it's about £3,000, £3,000 to £4,000, and about a 2 year process to even book it. It's mad. You have to book the one of the few little fishing vessels that are the pilot vessels. You have to book that like 2 3 years in advance most of the time. Luckily, back in May 2023, just after the cycle, there'd been a cancellation for the following September. So for like, not that September, luckily there'd been a cancellation, and it was, yeah. So just even the logistics to getting the day one sorted was just absolutely nuts. And yeah, I mean, again, any lads, anyone listening who has any like questions about the channel, Everest, any of that, like I'll be happy to answer anything. But yeah, it was by far the hardest day of my life, like 100%. It was some of the worst, like pretty much the worst kind of day for weather they had. It was kind of I'm in whether it would even go out. So yeah, 18 hours, 19 minutes of just non-stop swimming. But the last 6 hours was just 5 hours was just genuinely trying not to drown. It wasn't like swimming. My right shoulder had completely seized up, tendonitis in my wrist, kind of swimming one-handed. And it was just, I'd inhaled and aspirated so much water that like I wasn't breathing bilaterally anymore. Bilaterally, it was just like as soon as you take a breath, head down, you're gasping for another breath. Yeah, 13 boats left England that day, and ours was the only boat that made it to France at that time. It was only one other boat made it, but that was my friend Sean, who I trained with in Croatia. He was much quicker than me, much faster. He made it 6 hours quicker, so we done it in about 12 hours. He made it before the weather came in. So every other boat turned round. Yeah, we were the only boat. We were the only boat to push through that weather. It was brutal because you know you got like wind state 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Normally it's like if it's 2 or above, the boats don't even leave Dover Harbour. But the last 5 hours of the swim, it was 4 pressing 5.
Mm.
The wind state, it was absolutely horrible, man, horrible.
Was there a temptation? I know to do the official, to be recognised as an official channel swim, it's got to be done in swimming trunks.
Yeah.
Was there any consideration of, well, look, I'm going to be climbing, running all the way, cycling and running all the way to up Everest?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll wear a wetsuit for this, or a pair of fins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, never considered fins, but technically it's a triathlon. It's a triathlon. It was a triathlon,
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, so I definitely looked into it. I asked the coaches and that from my the channel swimming coaches and all that, and I was like what would you? I was basically just like, what would you recommend? And it was definitely like because I didn't understand it and all that, but yeah, basically it's much safer to swim without a wetsuit, essentially, and ironically, so. But they're also all very much into that. It's like it's
Why is
it's
it safer, mate?
so basically the long story short is like if you wear a wetsuit a lot of the time, you're kind of it's like wearing a mask. You're basically because yeah, you're warmer, but like over when you're swimming like to do something like that, you're like you if you're starting to feel like if things are starting to go wrong with your body or you're starting to it masks how you might be feeling because you've got a wetsuit on. You might not feel if you're completely just naked by like skins, like you kind of have a lot more control, not control, but you have a lot more awareness over your body. You know if you're getting cold, if something's starting to really niggle or something, you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, it's kind of, so it's, yeah, this might just be them kind of persuading me not to wear a wetsuit, but they were just being like, they basically just said, no, just put on weight and you'll be fine. Like it's not going to be cold. And in the end, the cold wasn't even one of the main issues. Thank God. But yeah, it's down to everyone. But obviously, it restricts movement as well. It massively restricts movement. Even if you have a really good one, because I've done it, I've tried it, I've swam quite a lot. I've tried it before. It restricts movement a lot. The chafing's on another level. Yeah, many factors.
Yes, yes. And you look like you really did bulk up. Was it hard putting on the weight?
Oh, so hard. I did everything I could. Yeah, I got to 95. I was 95 when I swam the channel, and I was 79 when I swam in Everest. So it wasn't even that bad considering. But yeah, I just thought it might help me float as well. That's what's another thing, you know what I mean? Because I sink like a rock. The month before in August, I'd done this challenge, just like this kind of first challenge in the Lake District, and because it's fresh water, it was sinking, and it was like, well, this is good. Okay, if you train in fresh water, salt water will feel easier because you float better.
Tell me about it. I wear, even in the pool, I wear float shorts.
Float shorts, nice.
Yeah, they're awesome for anyone that's not heard of them. They're just neoprene shorts, basically. And for
Yeah.
people that are ultra skinny, like I am,
We
or
just think,
I should say
yeah.
low body fat,
Mhm.
but a bit muscular, that's like not a good recipe for floating.
Right, exactly.
And the
No,
float shorts just keep your core a little bit more stable, so you can enjoy it more. And of course, the thing about triathlon, it's quite kind of a funny one.
yeah,
I think everyone worries about the swim and that, oh my God, I don't want to drown. That's why they have the swim first, obviously, is when
yeah, exactly. When you're
people have
not
got.
tired, yeah,
And the irony is the wetsuits. I mean, I've got a really decent surf wetsuit, and I've got a really decent Zone 3, I think,
yeah,
triathlon one. and both of which it's hard to get your legs down. You
Yeah.
float so much. All
I
you've
mean,
got,
yeah, that's another big reason why like it's considered kind of cheating, because you float so much more in it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like, and so I kind of, I mean, it would have helped me so much because I sink so much. But I'm so thankful that it was so hard that I had to fight for my life. I'm so thankful for it because every day after that it's felt easy.
incredible. So just very quick one then. What is it like when you feel the sand or the
Oh,
mud beneath your feet?
man, I was kind of delirious by then. I just remember kind of not being able to speak, but like screaming, France, France, and I like wobbled up on the beach. It was like as good as summit Everest. It was like pure disbelief that you've done it. You know what I mean? You've swam to France. It was such a relief. It was just beyond words, mate. I literally collapsed on the beach in my girlfriend's arms, and it was bloody incredible. It was just amazing.
And final question, because I love the technical aspect of all this stuff. I'm always, it's on the back burner in my
Yeah,
head,
yeah, yeah.
obviously. Um, was the skipper invaluable? Was his knowledge of the currents and the tides and the weather
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They are that. Yeah, that's their job. They know they even like predict the tides. They kind of know how to position the boat, where to position the boat. It's a constant battle. Yeah, but having a good coach is so important. I was so lucky last minute that one of the coaches was free to come on my boat, and if that didn't happen, the skipper wanted to call my swim 6 hours before I finished. They wanted to call it. The only reason that it wasn't called is because my coach went, "No, he's going to do it. He's going to do it," and I just made it.
wow, incredible. So coming on to the cycle, uh, again, techie nerd question. What bike did you use?
Again, like the bike I used was still in the box. I never touched it, never ridden it, never had a bike fitting, never done anything. Stupid man. It was just we were trying to find a bike, someone who would donate a bike. I ended up getting a Kennelly touring bike. But actually, it was really good in the end because it was a touring bike, gravel bike. The frame had won like some award for like Guinness World Record for around the world, whatever. Um, so yeah, it was really good. And I was just like, you know what? I know it's going to be hard. It's going to be stupidly painful because I said I'd hardly trained for cycling at all. It's been 95% swimming. So I knew it was going to be painful. But yeah, it was a good bike. Apart from day one, literally cycling through the high street, cycling through Calais, which was only 20 miles from where you finished the swim. Because you don't finish in Calais, obviously you finish just south. Literally, go day like 20 minutes into the cycle. Bloody, I hear what I thought was a gunshot, and this is 20 minutes into day one, and the back wheel was just had the biggest blowout I've ever had in my life. Like the biggest blowout. Luckily, it was about 300 meters from. It happened about 300 meters from Decathlon. So day one, walking into buy a Mackie, used to have a Big Mac, walking into the Decathlon, knowing I still had 12,000 K of open road ahead of me. I was like, oh, this is going to be a long road. This is going to be a long road.
Yes, I would have thought you'd got out the water and then cycled straight to the nearest pub.
Yeah, well, I wish, mate. Well, after the swim, it destroyed me that much. Like my tongue was completely falling to pieces. As in, like I was eating chunks of my tongue, like literally, just my tongue was peeling off. You've probably seen it like when Ross Edgley done it, that kind of thing. But he was only in the water 6 hours at a time. I was in the water for 18 hours, so it was kind of like what you see on telly, but worse. And it was, I didn't give myself the channel because it's so dirty. I got tonsillitis. So for 5 days after the swim, obviously in the village where I finished the swim on the beach, I was wiped out. I lost 2 kilos just from swimming the channel, just 2 kilos in them 5 days. Because I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat. The worst tonsillitis I've ever had. But after 5 days though, like being bedbound, yeah, managed to get myself on the bike to the beach and then started. But yeah, it was mad. I knew it would be like a day or two. I was hoping for like 2 or 3 days just to get the bike set up, get everything ready before starting. But yeah, I was just like after the swim, I physically couldn't piss myself. Sorry, I had to have my girlfriend literally like shoulder carry me to the toilet. Like I couldn't walk down the stairs. I had to piss in a pint glass in the bedroom and just get her to take it down. Like I was broken.
Blimey, I should explain, Mitch. I'm putting up your photos. I'm talking. I'm not ignoring you. I just got the
That's fine.
screen over there. It's just
No, absolutely fine, mate. Absolutely fine. But I remember, yeah, I just remember being in like trying to have the muscle, like because the village, the towns are all famous for like their muscles, the mussels and stuff, seafood. I remember being so threaders that I couldn't eat them because I was hanging out that bad. But I can't wait to go back to Calais. We'll go. Sorry, to back to that place to Wisson. I'll go back there one day, and it will be. I just can't wait to take the ferry. Fucking take the ferry across the Channel. It's going to be so nice.
yeah.
Just look down and be like, oh man, it's a long way.
That's cheating.
That's cheating. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, sorry, the bike ride, yeah, it was bloody incredible.
Good. I mean, we could have a chat for hours on just the bike ride alone. You cycled it. I drove a school bus.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
We also drove a school bus, so that's
Oh,
a funny story.
you was that your
Well,
backup?
we had a camper van for the first 3 weeks. So obviously so the first 3 weeks, 2,000 k, 2 to 3,000. So from Calais to Budapest, obviously I also towed my golden retriever with me on the back of a doggy trailer. So he was with us all the way to Budapest with the camper van, but then it had to be returned. After that, we were stuck in Budapest for a few days because we didn't have a vehicle. And then my friend, we last minute found the cheap 1995 banged up school bus from North London, and my friend drove it in 17 hours in one go to Budapest. And then we had that school bus from Hungary to the Turkey Iraq to the border of Iraq, right up to literally 10 miles from the border of Iraq, which was quite funny.
So let me just think. Which route did you take? Did you go Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, Iran,
Was the original,
Pakistan?
yeah, the original plan was Turkey, Iran, Pakistan. Iran completely rejected our visas in the end, which was a pain in the ass. It's just the way it is right now. So yeah, then it was just then, but then like we were literally in Turkey. Like we literally had two options: go north, but that was like Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, having to cross the Caspian Sea because there's not enough time to cycle around Russia with the visa you can get, and then Afghan and down, or it was because it was really annoying because either way now there was like a small crossing of water that would have to be done, if you know what I mean. I just wanted it to be completely, but it is what it is, mate. Fucking you can't control bureaucracy, you can't control the world. You know what I mean? So but we made it. So it was we either had that option or we had the option to go south. That was it. So we decided, and I thought it would be much. I just much prefer the idea of the adventure of going south. So we went from Turkey. We went the whole way through Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Oman, 3,000 k across the entire Arabian desert, all the way to Oman, where we then tried our hardest. Like literally, I had meetings with the British ambassador, the Indian ambassador, the Pakistani ambassador, the minister for tourism, the Prince of Oman, trying to find a boat. Um, across to Karachi because it was only about 400 k across. Well, not to the closest bit, but in the end, yeah, it was so shit. We flew to Karachi, then we even drove 400 k back towards the Iranian border, just for kind of purity's sake. I mean, I ended up, well, in hindsight, in the long run, I ended up doing 1,100 k more than I originally estimated. Originally, this was called Limitless 12,000 k to Everest. It turned into Limitless 13,157 k to Everest.
My gosh. So sorry if I missed that bit, Mitch.
Yeah.
How did you get from that kind of peninsula
So I literally
across?
cycled to the most easterly point of the entire Arabic Peninsula, and then we came back to Muscat, and we had to fly to Karachi just to cross that water. So that tiny little.
Okay.
But then if you look at Muscat, if you look at the border of Iran from Karachi, you look at Karachi, you got the border of Iran. We then drove 400 k back towards the Iranian border to where we would have crossed from Iran, even though we'd done more Ks by then anyway. And we carried on just for yeah, but I'm glad we did because Baluchistan, the whole southern area of Pakistan where we were, it's a bit dodgy. Like we had like army escorts, terrorist area. It was a bit mad, but it was beautiful. It was so stunning. And then yeah, then it was 1,600 k through Pakistan all the way up to Lahore, and that's where the next funny story was because we were promised in Oman that we'd get our Indian paper visas at the Indian consulate in Islamabad. Um, Turns out that didn't happen. So I cycled 1,600 k obviously to Lahore, the only land border open between India and Pakistan because they hate each other. And then we had to then obviously because it wasn't en route, we then drove to Islamabad to try and get our paper visas. We then told we couldn't. So then it was so annoying then because then we had to come back. Obviously, I'd cycled all the way from there, 1,600 k to Lahore. So then we cycled the last 40 k to the border, because then you've got the Wagga border, the border where there's like the dancing ceremony between the Indians and the Pakistanis. Like literally,
Yeah.
the border is a gate that opens up, and they do like a dance off. And we were like, so we had Stan, my cameraman, he had like this idea. All right, well, what we'll do is then we'll cycle up to the border, touch the gate, watch the ceremony from the Pakistani side. The only way we had to do this now is this is the most ridiculous part. So we watched the ceremony from the Pakistani side. Literally, we got a video, obviously, it's all on the YouTube and everything, touching the gate, and then we had to drive back. Then we had to go back to Lahore, and then essentially we had to fly 3,000 kilometers to cross 2 meters. So because there's no direct flights, so we had to fly to Dubai with two bikes, fly to Dubai, back to Amritsar, which is the next town, and then we drove back from Amritsar to watch the ceremony from the Indian side. 2 meters. The guys that wouldn't let me touch the gate from the Indian side, but got to 2 meters of where we were 24 hours before. So then, obviously, in the morning, cycled from that position and carried on. So we had to pay £2,000, and we travelled 3,000 k to cover literally 2 meters. So I just walked back a few meters in the video, and we were like, "Well, that's the 2 meters done," and then carried on. And then it was another 2,200 k through India, which was absolutely fucking insane. Tried cycling through central Delhi, through 2,200 k of more cycling to finish it off, and then we reached the small town of Digger, which is like a tiny little seaside town on the bit like Skegness in the UK. That's what we consider it, a kind of grungy holiday escape. For the Indians, finished there, literally rode into the ocean. I was so excited. Like it'd been 11,920 k since Calais. Literally rode into the ocean. So excited down the ramp into the Indian Ocean. I still had my passport, my headphones, and my charging pack all in my bags and that on my bike. So that was cool. Yeah, and then 2 3 days later, set off on foot from that exact ramp. I actually got my feet wet. A wave hit me. So the day one, I had piss wrapped feet, which was really annoying. So yeah, and then started to run from that position. It was a 877 k to Kathmandu from that point. But that was the biggest challenge by far. The body was completely conditioned, 100% conditioned to cycling. We've been cycling every day for 4.5 months. The biggest challenge for me with 2 knee surgeries was always going to be, will the knee even survive this? You're going from, as I say, legs completely conditioned to cycling to nearly a 900 k ultra marathon without having ran 1 mile in 6 months. That was the biggest challenge. And yeah, the first week, 10 days was as I expected, like pure agony. I was still managing to run like 35 k a day, but it was like knee swollen, on painkillers, limping, in tears, crawling some days. But as I knew, the core teaches you everything. You just apply the right mindset, and if the mind just believes, the body will follow. And after about 10 days, I kind of even felt that switch, and then I ended up doing 3 marathons back to back, and managed to got to the border of Nepal 700 k later. And it was just like when I got to that border of Nepal, it was like, oh my God. So don't get me wrong, India's nice, but after 54 days in India, we were like, get us out of here. And back in my favorite country in the world. And it was just incredible. Went from flat, it was completely flat, obviously, that whole way pretty much. As soon as we got to the Nepal border, we had to climb like 3,500 meters just to get to Kathmandu. So that was fun. Basically, just turned into a very fast yonk speed walk up the bloody mountains for for like 40 k days. And it was just incredible. Bloody incredible, my mate. Got to Kathmandu, and again, we were quite lucky because then we had like a good chunk of time there to get stuff ready for Everest, try and put on a kilo or two before then setting off from the same spot for the next part, which was the 360 k yomp to base camp. But the best thing happened there, mate. It was completely unexpected. When we finished the run, like the British ambassador was waiting for us. Loads of people. We had like a party, and he told us that we didn't realise this when Hillary and Tenzing first climbed Everest in '53. There was no hotels in Kathmandu or anything, so we didn't realise that they'd stayed at the British embassy, had breakfast with the British ambassador in the morning, and then to set off on foot from there. So we got invited to do the same thing. So my missus came over. So I was at the VIP suite of the British Embassy. I had breakfast. We had the same breakfast that Hillary and Tenzing had. Had breakfast with the British ambassador. I left the same way. They gave us a flag, same as they did with Hillary. So we literally replicated the first climb of Everest in the history, nearly exactly with the longest climb of Everest in history. So
Unreal. Um, yes, we should explain for friends at home. So going through Pakistan, you have to go through the Baluchistan desert.
yeah,
No,
that was the first 300k was the Baluchistan Desert.
notorious for bandits
Yeah.
who who
It was really annoying because one section, like the army stopped us, literally forced us in the back of the truck, and we had to like do a 40k section of the hills, the really dangerous part. And it was just so annoying, you know what I mean? I made up for it, obviously, but it was really, really frustrating. Pakistan was like a game of cat and mouse, just trying to avoid the police. Like I'd often come out the back entrance of the hotels to avoid the police escorts that were still outside waiting for you. I'd literally sneak around the back, and we just escape and evade the police and the army.
yeah, they like their escorts. When we did Baluchistan in the bus, we had it was a 300k stretch, and the bus in front pulled us over, and he came on board and he said, "What weapons have you got?"
Yeah.
And we're like,
What?
freaking
It's,
bread knife. It's on. I think it's on the chopping board, right? And there was 12 of us on this bus, volunteer workers, and he said, "Okay." He said, "But you know, if they catch you, they'll cut all the blokes' throats and they'll steal your women." Oh, this sounds good. He said, "Stick with us. We're loaded up with weapons and ammo."
fair
So
enough.
I stuck by them, and literally about 16k in, we bust a diesel pipe, and
Oh,
and we
hey,
slowed
yeah.
down. We slowed down to 20 mile an hour or something ridiculous, and I had to do the whole of
Oh,
Baluchistan at that speed. So
well, faster than me still. I wasn't doing 20 mile an hour.
so
It's pretty good.
I wouldn't have fancied doing it on a bike, mate. No.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We had like this tiny little beaten up, little tiny van thing, obviously with my cameraman in it, following like 100 meters behind. But we wouldn't have been able to do much. That's for sure.
So did you get? I'm talking stomach wise now. Did you get any stomach bugs on?
I was quite lucky in Pakistan, India three times. Yeah, day two of India. We got it from Rice in like a nice hotel. I was so fretted. I was so annoyed. It was horrible. But yeah, only three times. I'm really, really lucky. That could have been a game changer. That could have been game over. And sometimes food poisoning lasts weeks. Or, I was really lucky. It never lasted more than 24 to 48 hours. Um, that first day and that second day when we crossed the border into India, I was so determined to like make some time up. I was up till 6 a.m. just out of both ends like crazy. But then I managed to get 3 hours kip and I still done 100k that day.
Yes, because a friend of mine had to cancel his Everest bid because he got stomach bug.
Mhm. Yeah, that was always the biggest worry on after all of this, get there and then one tiny little thing happens out of your control and then it's over and you haven't done it. It's mad.
Are they kind of meticulous at advanced base camp, or is it? Are you sort of thinking, God, mate, I wish you'd wash your hands before you touch
When I
that?
say meticulous, like literally Camp 2 is just or advanced is literally just like a tiny little tent with loads of gas cylinders and Sherpas cooking noodles. That's it. That's it. Like, but I mean, as far as it goes, everything's thoroughly boiled. It's kind of just there's no meat really. It's just like egg. You might have some egg in there with noodles and stuff. It's fairly safe food ish, and they're not like dirty people. They're all amazing and they're all pretty. Like us, pretty clean. But like anyone, it can happen to anyone at any time, and it's just scary. Like, yeah, I had there was a little lad up there. He's half Nepalese, half Japanese. He was a friend of mine. I made. He was trying to be the youngest Japanese person to climb Everest. He was 16-year-old lad was climbing, and he got severe stomach issues and had to turn around at Camp 3. I felt really bad for him.
Yeah, it's not nice, not
No,
nice at all.
no. I mean, I was very lucky. All I had was laryngitis and a complete loss of voice for 3 weeks,
So
which I took. I was like, "You don't need a voice to climb Everest."
How did you find acclimatization?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, so another an advantage of yomping 360k from Kathmandu to Lukla, which like no one never does, is it's so gradual. Like we'd the last 4 days before getting to Lukla, we were already between 2 and 3,000 meters, and then we got to Lukla and we had 4 days in Lukla before the team then arrived. So I kind of had a head start on the acclimatization, which was quite good because when I done base camp when I was 18, like I remember having quite bad headaches and all that and stuff. And well, on Amadablam 18 months ago, so yeah, 18 months ago, like I had an infection in my throat, which nearly took me out. It was crazy because I didn't wear a buff. Yeah, so do not take your buff off, Chris, at all once, mate. Okay, do not take off your mask or buff the whole way. So I was determined this time to get through. So yeah, so by the time we got there and the team arrived and got to base camp, was feeling good. Was feeling good, and got to base camp, then left base camp literally straight away to come back and climb Le Budget East, which was the first, which counted as the first rotation. And I was exhausted, like bloody exhausted, but luckily, like I don't remember having even one headache the entire expedition, which is so lucky, so lucky. Yeah, I was so thankful.
Where did you purchase your kit?
So a lot of it was kind of like Petzl and they gave us loads of kit. We've got a lot of it in the UK, like, and then basically I had quite a few people from the UK fly over to join me on base camp trek and all that. So my other half, who's amazing, Nikki, she like I had like, for example, I'll just be coordinating loads of stuff, all like my boots, my crampons, ice axe, helmet, all of that stuff that was in the UK. Everything was just chucked into a suitcase. And then when the base camp team flew from London, 5 of them came from the UK. When they came from London, she just gave the suitcase to one of the lads who brought it over. And then everything else, like sleeping bag and just the last little bits, because everything you need, you can literally come to Nepal, not bring a single bit of kit from the UK. Everything you need to climb Everest, you can get in Kathmandu anyway, which I knew. I knew, like, worst case scenario, I get to Kathmandu, hopefully at least with a week or something to sort stuff out for Everest before then, after the run, before starting the trek to base camp. But luckily, everything, yeah. So obviously, AGA, Adriana, they had like, they had loads of spare kit and all that. So just managed to wing it and get it done.
And I've heard you can get heated boots now. Was that anything you
Yeah,
considered?
yeah. I got yeah. So I got Scarpa sent me a pair of their brand new 8,000 Phantom heated boots, and but I didn't use the heated part at all. So if you're climbing Everest in spring, you don't need them. I was quite happy to know. Yeah. So even like obviously Adriana and Gelji were both like they're good, but like they don't you don't need them at all. I was like, all right, well, but then between the balcony and the summit, my left foot did get a bit cold. So if you've got a tendency for cold feet quite a lot, I definitely recommend you use them. You know what I mean? But yeah, like luckily, like obviously it's cold. It was -30 on the summit, but it's not like the boots are so good, triple layered as it is. And I and in the after their advice, I was going to use the heated part, the heated part of the boots, but in the end, I just chose not to because they said as long as you're like, it's just all about, as you know, mate, everything is just about the small bits of admin, tiny bits of admin, changing your socks at Camp 4, for example. They were like, as long as you've got fresh socks, good socks, summit socks, and then boots, they were like, you'll be fine. Like the only time that Gelji used his heated boots was when he climbed K2 in winter.
Hmm. Have
That was minus 70. So yeah, that was pretty gnarly. Yeah, he was the youngest person to climb K2 in winter in that team.
Have you still got all your kit?
Yeah, yeah, it's in the suitcase next to me still.
What size feet have you got?
I'm like a 10, but you
Uh,
go two sizes above. So I got a 12. I did a size 12 boots. Otherwise, I could have said you could have them.
I'd get both my feet in them.
You got tiny feet.
Yeah, well, I got between 7 and 8. I usually range from.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
also extra wide, which
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
very
yeah.
difficult to get footwear, wide footwear.
Yeah. Nah, otherwise definitely mate, you could have had it. I'll have a think what other kit I've got. I've still got my like crampons, helmet, bits like that.
What summit
You got a
suit?
down suit. You got your down suit.
No,
Might be able to help you with that, maybe. What? How tall are you?
5'7", 5'8".
Yeah, it might be a bit big for you as well. Yeah, it would definitely be too big for you.
Ah, okay. Yes. Well,
Shame,
thanks for
shame,
the
mate.
offer.
That's all right. That's all right. Again, the down suit was the last bit of item that was brought. Adriana, she went into Kathmandu just before flying out to Lukla to find me a down suit. So I didn't even know which down suit I was having until I got to base camp. Pretty much, it was lucky.
And how do you balance then your layers? Because, for example, I've got some diving underwear here that I wore in Antarctica for scuba diving. I mean,
Hmm.
and it honestly, it's like the nicest pair of pajamas you ever put on. It's like fleece line, really thick, and it's designed to keep you obviously warm under a dry suit.
Great.
Um, if I was to take that to Everest, would I just find myself sweating profusely? Even
I'd say so, mate. Yeah, especially if it's not merino, if it's not designed, or not merino, if it's not like designed to air out, then yeah, mate, it was so hot. I was in a t-shirt until Camp 4, till the death zone. That's
yeah.
how hot it was. Above 30 degrees between base camp and Camp 3. It was like above 30. So and I had like just thin merino, like the kind of thin merino. All you need, mate, is like as in long johns, bottom base layers, and then the same for the top. Um, but they were just really good. You know what I mean? Luckily, it was all obviously sponsored by bloody Jotna, which are and like obviously they're awesome kit, almost too good,
Mm.
especially with the I like the merino base layer, like the top. Like I put that on for like literally 1 minute. I was like, fuck this. It was like, but I run really hot anyway, mate. So I mean, take them because for base camp and all of that, it will be really handy. It'll be really handy, that's for sure. And when you're static, it's probably going to be really good. But you really want dynamic, kind of breathable kit when you're up there for sure. Even like for the summit push, like just you'll be surprised. Just one thin merino base layer under your down suit will probably be enough. I had a t-shirt under my down suit. That was it.
So there you are. You've done your rotations to further acclimatise.
Yeah,
Um, in that video where your Sherpa comes a knocking, that moment I think that everyone or certain people dream of.
yeah, that's it, mate. Ooh.
Momentarily, there, Mitch, you did look a bit like it's go
Yeah,
time. It's
yeah.
go
Oh,
time.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For that first rotation, I was like, um, not nervous as in like, it was just I got a lot of anxiety because so much it all come down to this. You know what I mean? And it was like, but I was just so in the zone. Like, I was so focused by that point. But about 6 hours before that video, there'd been a massive avalanche that nearly killed a couple of people as well. So it's just all stuff that plays on your mind.
Yeah. Was it hard dealing with the social media? In fact, how did you? I took it
I
you
mean,
you had a guy.
yeah, because I had Stan and Molly, my amazing producer back in the UK, but Stan was the guy that was with me on the ground every day from day one to the end. Like he'd make the long form YouTube as well as the short form stuff as well. And I got better at it. I got used to it. I still hate social media. I don't like it, but it's a necessary evil. Um, but yeah, he just basically for the bigger stuff, the really well edited stuff, he'd make it obviously put it out, and I'd do the caption. I'd pretty much do the caption every time and all this, and we just kind of have a schedule and put it out. And yeah, I mean that was because of him. That's the only reason we had such good, consistent content of the whole journey. I'm so thankful for it.
Did you have that thing? I remember when I ran the length for the UK, and I was scrabbling around trying to get every last minute thing done. You know how it is. There's never enough time. And then I thought, oh, I've got to hit go live on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
Once I've done it, there's no going back. I've announced the world. I'm gonna,
yeah, run the UK. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
yeah.
remember that moment like it was yesterday, mate. I just got back from cycling the US. It was May 2023. Yeah, so it was May 2023. I was working as static security in Staffordshire on a house, just in the garden in the shake on. in high vis, working buddy that, and yeah, what actually sold it is like for that is at that point, like I reached out to Elite and Nims and all that. I got a video from Nims and the other people and that saying like, we're going to support you. This is the maddest thing we've ever heard in our life. We're going to do it. Like we're going to help you and all that. And by this point, obviously, the idea had been in my head for a year nearly. And I made and that same week, I made a call and the boat. I found out that the boat was available for the following summer. The most important part. So as soon as I got that confirmation about the boat, and then I got like a bit of support from someone else, I just said fuck it. And I literally remember like pressing that button and saying I was about to attempt the longest climb of Everest in history, and I was like, shit, I'm committed now.
Let's talk. This is a massive thing that went in our favour rowing the Atlantic, and we as a pair cracked it in 50 days, which is.
Yeah. Good
And
man. Yeah.
we weren't in one of the modern boats, as you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
that we, so, but the big thing that did go in our favour was the Windy app.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
being able to know anything up to, I think, 10, if not 12 days in advance, exactly what the wind is going to be, right?
Was it
Down
quite
to,
accurate? Was it? Was it quite
oh,
accurate?
it was unreal. I'd say to Louis, right, Lou, we got another 2.5 days of this, you know what, mate. We're not going to be, we're not going to be getting blown anywhere. It's full on the oars. I said, but then round about 2:30 on Friday afternoon, it's picking up from X amount. The wind's going to pick up from X amount of knots to such and such.
Yeah, yeah,
The swell's going to be this. It's going to be coming from this direction, and we didn't have we didn't set any. We set one waypoint. That was Barbados, right?
yeah.
The other crew we went with, four young lads, strapping young lads, very nice crew of Europeans. They went waypoint to waypoint, so they were completely ignoring the weather all the time. So we made everything work for us, you could say.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. I don't remember having that accuracy. But
Yeah.
that's good. It's good.
So my question to you is, I see. You see a lot of people cracking Everest now.
Oh man, yeah.
You certainly the casualty side of things seems to have gone down, although I'm not obviously underplaying it. And
No,
I
this year's
just,
went down. Yeah, this year's gone down. That's only because of the heroic Sherpas, man. Like they have been dragging down so many lifeless, alive bodies down from. Yeah, it's the only reason so many survived this year is because these superhumans.
okay. I just wondered. I mean, if you think in the older days, you had to rely on some guy in an office in Birmingham who just was a big fan of weather,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
getting faxed some random satellite image prediction
yeah,
of what it might be in three.
yeah,
And there must be a big difference from those days to now. You can get your phone out, you can go, right, we got a window now. It's 7 days, although there's a day in the middle that it's looking a bit iffy.
yeah.
Boom, let's go, guys. Let's go. And I just wondered, did you get into the weather side of it? Is this something that you?
I did a little bit. I mean, we had the Goji had the app, and we'd be checking it all the time. It's much more accurate these days in terms of what you can predict, but also obviously up there, it literally will change like that.
Yeah.
Literally, summit windows will close like that and stuff. But it was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting watching it. It was interesting watching it. But I didn't try to get too obsessed with it. You know what I mean? It was like the
Yeah.
obviously like the channel, like the Atlantic. It's. I try not to. I learned not to get too overwhelmed or think too much about something out not in my control.
Yeah. And second question then is, would it have been a case of, had your summit bid been unsuccessful, would they have given you another crack at it, or is it like?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm fairly sure as long as I was okay, as long as I wasn't like half dead or something. Especially because our summit attempt was like we were like one of the first people to attempt the summit. We were like 24 hours behind the fixing teams. So the summit line, the summit, and the whole lines to the summit had been fixed, and we were like 24 hours behind them. So it would have been a case of come back down. I could have taken a week to kind of recuperate and then gone back up. But again, so happy it didn't happen because then I would have been going up with hundreds of people.
Yes, Roger. It does look a bit intimidating when you see those big snakes.
That's where, yeah, that's where people die, and that's where you get frostbite. And yeah, it's mad. I just didn't want it. So lucky, like I literally got to the south summit, and as for sunrise, and the whole world lit up below me. And then I looked up, and the Hillary step, there was one person on it. It was magical.
Ah, unreal.
I really pray for you, mate.
Yeah.
Really do.
So describe that moment then when you're leaving. Is it Camp 4 is the top camp?
Yeah, Camp 4. So you leave the
And
South Pole, left at about 9:30 at night, and yeah, it was like a big 10, 11 hour push, about 11 hours. Got to the balcony. The balcony is 8,400. It's kind of the kind of halfway point ish. You change oxygen there. So we change oxygen there, and then my feet got really cold. So then the next 2 hours, I was like a little bit worried, a bit anxious because I couldn't feel my toes for 2 hours. I was just wiggling them like I've never wiggled in my life, and it was quite hard climbing after that. Between 8,400 meters in the top. So I just kind of completely zoned out, compartmentalized, completely zoned out. And I didn't even look up for 2.5 hours. And I just kept on repeating like two words to myself, like Gelji, my Sherpa, Gelji and oxygen, Gelji, oxygen, them two words. And in my head, I was like, as long as I've got them two, I'm going to be fine. And Gelji oxygen. And I kept on doing it. And then before I knew it, we were at the South Summit, 8,700 ish. And I hadn't even literally looked around, but I looked to my right and left, and I didn't even realize the sun had come up. The sun was rising, and it was completely clear. The entire world was below me. Like, look to your right, and you can see into China as far as the eye can see. Look to the left, and it was just yeah. And that was such a cool moment.
unreal. There isn't any like McDonald's or anything up there, is there?
No, but unfortunately, it's not like Snowdon. There's no train up
Is
there
there
or a
any
cab.
like a wine bar or something you can just stop and have a
Maybe one
spritzer?
day. Nah, maybe one day. There's a little ledge where you can maybe have a swig of whiskey or something. But I was so fretted. I left my whiskey at Camp 4. Um, yeah, I was so annoyed. I had to wait to get back to Camp 4 before I could have my summit whiskey.
I'll come on and ask you about that because yeah, I'm interested to know something about that.
Yeah, it's
So
fine.
how okay in terms of what we did in the Marines because there were
Mhm.
some tough old times there.
Yeah.
How hard is the physical and mental aspect of it?
I mean, I'd say the overall mental aspect was probably very similar to like the strain of like training, for example. You know, physically, like the channel was harder than any day in the Corps, any by far.
Yeah,
Um, but apart after that, like again, like Everest and stuff, like um, it was hard, but like no harder than one of the really hard jumps we'd have. You know what I mean? As in terms of physically demanding. Like, well, to be fair, yeah, it was 21 hours the summit day, 21 hours from camp two. Sorry, 20 yeah, from camp 3 to camp 4 to the summit, back to camp 2. 21 hours with no sleep, and that was like similar. That was like nearly collapsing when I got back to camp 2. So that was kind of up there with kind of the hardest day I ever had in the Corps. But it was, mate. It was, yeah. It was. It sets you up so much for it.
and had you had a sip of whiskey on the summit, could that have caused you problems? Do you think?
Oh no, just a tiny swig. It's Gelgy loves a rum. Gelgy loves a little drink, and we were like, oh damn it! But it was about 30 mile an hour winds up there. When it was meant to be no wind. Or I was just thankful because it was clear, but it was gnarly. It was gnarly, and having just stepped over them bodies, it was like a stark reminder. As you know, mate, the summit is literally halfway. It's halfway. I made a promise to my family that I'd come back alive, and it was like, yeah, just get the pictures we need to like enjoy the summit at first and foremost for like 5 minutes just on my own, and then just get down.
The bodies that you saw were they recent climbers or were they some of the historic ones?
I think they would have been the last few years. Yeah, they
Yeah,
weren't historic. They weren't, but they weren't this year. because we were the first people on there. It was the first person died the day after I got down. The day after I summited.
And how did that happen?
It's just it was at Camp 4, pure exhaustion, and I think his heart just stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a Filipino guy. Um, I can't remember. Really sad, really sad. But yeah. Overall, it's been quite lucky this year. It's been quite good. But again, that's not down to the Westerners. That's down to the Sherpas.
Yes, got you, got you. Well, rest in peace to those poor folks.
Mm.
Um, okay, moment on the. I mean, I'm just visualizing. Obviously you're a big visualized guy, and so am I.
Yeah.
You must have visualized those last few steps. I mean,
Oh
you're
man.
all. I mean, once you're on the summit, you
Yeah.
whether you're 5 meters up there or here, like you've done it.
Yeah.
What
Exactly.
what what does that feel like?
Mate, I've been visualizing that moment for 27 years, and it was as magical as I'd ever dreamed of. Like it was, as I say, dulled and mixed a little bit with the kind of anxiety and having just seen the bodies and stuff. But that was just that was just like a kick in the ass to say you're not done yet, mate. But it didn't take anything away from it. It was, yeah, it was kind of as beautiful as I ever imagined. It was, yeah, it's hard to describe, mate. You'll see it. You'll see it.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, I've always said, as much as it's beautiful up there, and you've got a vista that you're never ever going to see again.
Mm.
I just want to get up and get down.
Yeah. I had that as well, especially after 13,000.
You know,
157K.
I'm not
I
going to
was
be.
like tired. I'm tired now.
Yeah, I'm not
But
going
I
to.
didn't. Yeah, I wanted to enjoy every moment, but I'd still enjoyed every moment as much as I'm sure I would have done. But even more so, having been on that summit, knowing that I just got there from Dover using human power was such an incredible feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you've got that added. I mean, to any regular Everest climber, just getting up there is the most amazing experience. But to think everything that you'd done
I
as
mean,
well.
I was blown away by the love and support, even at base camp. You know what I mean? Like everyone, everyone knew me even when I arrived, and like was giving me like hugs and like good luck, telling me good luck and all that. And just, I mean, don't get me wrong, kind of adds to the pressure as well. Adds to the pressure quite a lot as well when you've got kind of all these people in the whole world expecting you to,
Ah,
hoping. But it's a boost as well. It's a big boost.
yeah. I mean, that's why I asked you about when you hit the go button on social media. It's I remember before I ran the length of the UK, that I was packing my kit the night before for about the umpteenth time, trying to get the weight down, and I looked at my girlfriend and I said, my partner, and said, I can't remember what I said. I said, "Hun, what am I doing?" Right,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, because I know thousands of people are going to follow this, and she just looked at me, mate, and said, "You'll do it. You always do." I was like, "Oh yeah, I do, don't I?" Right, and that was it. That just killed the anxiety, like dead for the. But there was a couple of things. First off, it does put an additional pressure to succeed when you've got this massive wave of support. And the other thing is, did you get this thing where some people really meant well, but they could be a freaking pain in the ass?
Yeah. Oh, mate, absolutely that's inevitable.
It's
Yeah,
probably
it's
different
inevitable.
for you because you were out of the UK for all of this except the shore part,
Yeah.
whereas I was surrounded by, for the UK run, I was anyone could come and join me, right?
Yeah.
And some people would, like, they just kept bugging me the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah.
One chap messaged me. He said, "Right, stop there now. You've done enough, Chris." I'm like only halfway down the country. He says, "I'm coming up there to take over from you."
So strange. No, I've never had that.
I was like, "Oh, okay." So, oh, right. So you turned around, you're coming back down. Were you compass mentis? Were you able to clip onto the rope okay?
Yeah. I mean, I had quite fit gloves on. I was completely complimentous, but quite a few times, just for speed, like if he's there before me, like before I even knew it, Gelgy had done it for me. I was like, oh, thanks. But 90% of it, I do it all myself. Yeah.
Good, good. And
I didn't want to be that climber that was so out of it that like they had to be carried. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I want to do this strong. You know what I mean? And so yeah, no, it was great.
yeah, that'd be a world record if your Sherpa carried you all the way back to the
All the way
UK.
back down. No, yeah, yeah, for sure. No,
Probably not the best swimmers, Sherpas, I would imagine, not being a landlocked country.
no, like yeah. I mean, it's quite funny actually because Gelgy's coming. He's coming next week. He's coming to stay at mine in Devon, in Torquay.
Will I
So
see him? Will I meet him on Tuesday?
quite possibly, if he's back in
Woo!
time. But there's a good chance he might not be back in time. But if they can make it, Adriana and Gelgy, so you'll have 5 world record holding mountaineers hopefully at the event. But yeah, as in them two, not me. Them two, they're absolute legends, and I hope that they can make it. But we'll see. But that's
Yes.
another thing as well. I mean, by all means, mate. Anyone listening to this who wants to come down, I think there'll be enough room. So please, if you want to come down to Torquay on Tuesday, come down and put that out there.
Yes. I don't know if we'll get the podcast out by then. We're a bit.
Oh, that's fine, mate. Don't
We've
worry
got
about
loads in the bag at the moment, but so you're coming down. It was quite interesting when I watched that. I think he's a Polish chap. He's a builder in London, and he documented his whole way. Like you, he got hundreds of thousands of followers doing it, and I did smile that he was yomping back down with his Sherpa, and they were clearly. I know you've still got the ice fall to go, but they were. It looked like they were sort of on safe territory. You know, home pretty much home now, and they met some Sherpa coming up, and they all stopped for a spliff and a beer.
Yeah, we had a beer between Camp 2 and 3. We had a beer stop. It was good fun.
Yes, I'm not drinking at the moment, but it's you can tell how much I think about beer, but that I ask such questions.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. When I got back, as soon as I got back to Camp 4, yeah. So I had my girlfriend Nikki got me a bottle of we always had like a bottle of shit whiskey to have like in the day, and then like we'd have a nice one that like would be kind of a treat now and again. So yeah, when my girlfriend Nikki flew to Kathmandu after the run before the trek from Kathmandu, she bought bottle of Aberfeldy, one of my favourite single malts, and that was kind of we had that kind of survived the entire added to the 20 kilo yomp from 360k 20 kilo yomp to Kathmandu. It was added to the pack, and it survived all the way to base camp. And then I poured it into a little Mountain Dew bottle, and it was like it was going to be our summit whiskey, but it bloody fell out the bag in the tent. So I had to wait to get back to Camp 4 before having that scotch.
What about medication then? Do these expedition companies have any sort of pills and potions that they pet people
I mean,
up
the only
with?
thing the only thing they really use now is Diamox and stuff like that. That's the main one that you use, but you only use that if you have to. You know what I mean? But a lot of
What
people,
does it do?
it just helps the body acclimatize essentially.
Yeah.
It's kind of some people do take it as a preventative measure, but it's not. I mean, I wouldn't recommend taking it if you're absolutely fine. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's down to you. It's down to the individual, really. It's down to the individual and the company. Like, it all depends. Like, if you're acclimatizing quick, like relatively, if you're acclimatizing gradually, as you should be, like, you're okay, you know. But like for example, most people use Diamox on Killy these days because Killy, unlike base camp, you ascend very fast, very quickly, you know, and that's when you want to be taking it because it just prevents quite bad altitude sickness.
So, gosh, let's. I'd like to ask you what it was like to get back down to base camp. I can just imagine it was just
That was That was the moment, mate. That was for me. The finish line was not until base camp, especially crossing that Kumbu, mate. There were some sketchy moments, um, and yeah, but that was the moment. It really. I got back. I walked into the big cafeteria tent, all my kit on, still harness. Walked into that tent to like all my friends and that. Obviously, had all very annoyed, actually, quite jealous that I'd done it already. They were all waiting around for another week before they even went up. So I just walked into that tent and like just kind of fell to my knees, and everyone was just giving me a hug. It was this so it didn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real. Doesn't it's only been 3 weeks, so it's going to take probably about a year to sink in.
What kind of contract did you have with your family then? Because I had a weird thing, Mitch. When we were in Gran Canaria, just about to row, I went out and just had some me time with my boy. I wanted to have a lot more. I almost could cry, mate. I wanted to have so much more time with him. Just
Yeah,
him and
yeah,
Daddy, just wander around, And
yeah,
you know, what it's like. There's so much last minute
yeah,
stuff to do.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
in the
yeah.
end, the day before, we were wandering around the shops in that little seaside village, and I was just feeling it bad, man. I've never had this experience before because
Yeah.
I've never done anything that potentially is so is potentially
Yeah,
dangerous.
and so long. Yeah, yeah.
You know, I was
Yeah,
only
that
bought.
gut, your gut just drops, doesn't it? Your gut just drops, and you
Yeah,
properly get the blue. It's almost like that feeling when you're coming back to training after, or coming back to training after a summer leave or something. It's almost like that gut rate dropping feeling.
yeah. I won't bother for me, Mitch. Honestly, I've had a great life. If I
Yeah,
died on that ocean, so be it. It's
yeah,
but I always like wait. Same with Everest. You've got to weigh it up.
yeah,
Do you stop living your life and the things that you aspire to and the things that keep you living like a legendary life when
yeah,
you have a child? And I just looked at Everest. I've watched so much stuff on it now. I've seen the progression, and I feel now, despite the queues at times, it's probably the safest time to go. I'm not, like I say, I'm not bothered for me. I understand the risk, but
yeah,
that time in Gran Canaria, I said, son, Daddy would always promise you I'm coming back, but I don't want to make you that promise now because if if anything happened,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want that. My last words to you was
Oh, no,
I promised to come back. So
yeah.
let's just say that probably going to be all right, mate. Not a problem, And
I like, mate. I respect the honesty. That's fair enough. Yeah, for
well,
sure.
he's
You rather. I mean, yeah, it's yeah, yeah.
he's very mature, my little, for
How old is he?
he's 10.
Nice. Yeah, 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 for
And
sure.
he hangs around so much with adults, like a lot of kids probably do these days, because they don't go and play like we used to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But rowing out of that little marina, he
yeah,
was
yeah,
just on the pontoon crying his eyes out, man. And fortunately, my mind was so much on the task of
yeah,
skippering
yeah.
that I was able to sort of
So
zone
now,
that.
yeah.
But how was it getting back with your family? Who you obviously come good on your promise?
Yeah, it was surreal, mate. Yeah, I did promise them I'll come back, and my sister and my mum and the girlfriend, they all like made me promise, and it was again, it's quite hard, especially with the whole journey, trying to promise them that. It was more the bloody cycling through like Pakistan and India. That was the most likely time. I've genuinely nearly been killed at least a dozen times on this trip.
Hmm.
I mean, to the point where like one more, 6 more inches, 6 more inches, and I would have been crushed. It's so many. So it was a weird feeling, mate, coming home and just such a relief. It's just such a relief. You know what I mean? Such a relief.
Absolutely. And at the airport, then was there a big reception committee?
I mean, not massive. It was just lovely. Like my girlfriend Nikki, I flew back with my mum. So my mum flew to Kathmandu.
I saw
But
that.
yeah, because she was gutted because she never got to fly to Barbados because of COVID. She never got to fly to America after a bike ride. all these things that I've done. You know, she was like, I don't care how much it is. This is the biggest thing you're ever going to do in your life. I promise you, I'm gonna be there. Bless her. She's never been to Asia in her life, so she flew out with my producer. She flew out with my producer to Kathmandu, and but I was meant to stay in Kathmandu actually an extra week for the Everest Summiteers Summit, but she was flying back on her own, and I was like, obviously after 8 months away, I was like, I just want to go home. So I just came home. I came home on the 20th or whatever it was, 19th with her, and it was the main thing was my dog mate, golden retriever, was waiting there at Heathrow with a t-shirt on saying "Welcome home, Daddy. We did it." And so that was the main one. It was amazing. My girlfriend was there, my mum, my auntie, my best friend, and just two other friends. Bless him, a lad, Jason, and a young lad that's starting. That will be at Livingston for day one in 8 days. Bless him.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just a friend of mine who's been an 18-year-old, who's 19-year-old, who's been following the journey from like 6 months before I started. Come with me on all the build-up expeditions, and is now joining the Corps as part. Was joining the Corps and kind of helped him out a lot over the last year. And it was just so nice to have him there as well, just like complete surprise. But yeah, small, intimate little family. It's great.
Brilliant. Mitch, on that note, just to say massive, massive congrats, not only to you, but your support crew.
Thanks, man.
You came up with a plan, you took action, and you nailed it.
Cheers, buddy.
That's what life's all about. I'm going to see you Tuesday. Really looking forward to that and introducing you to my little adventurer.
Sounds good, man. Look forward to it.
Yes, and stay on the line just so I can thank you properly and try and borrow a tenner off you.
No, I appreciate it, mate. And anyone listening to this when it comes out, just head over to the Instagram page and donate after all that, please.
Yes. Friends at home, hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I say this a lot. If you've made it this far in the podcast, give yourself a massive pat on the back, because so many people won't watch my podcast unless I'm doing some conspiracy kind of stuff, and they're not getting it. The path to enlightenment is by getting stuck in and learning about journeys like the one Mitch has gone on. The setting your dreams is by looking at what other people have done and going, do you know what? I wouldn't mind to do that one day, and I'm going to keep it on the back burner, because the day when you do that, the day just comes and you look back and you think, bloody hell, I've lived all my dreams, and it's absolutely amazing. So
that's my main mission for this podcast and all my podcasts, is to get the message out there for people. It doesn't matter if it's you fucking going for a walk or wild camping for the first time or going for a swim. Success is proportionate. Just get out there, get uncomfortable, and do your own thing. The only person that knows the definition of possible is looking in the mirror.
Yes, and Mitch, what's the name of your podcast? I thought you said you had a YouTube channel.
Oh, YouTube channel. Yeah, sorry. It's the exact same, mate. So if people just search Mitch Hutch, MITCH, HUTCH, just search Mitch Hutch. It's the exact same for Instagram and YouTube. Exact same name. And the link for the Savsim, the link is in the bio on Instagram for donating.
Yeah. I'm just showing your YouTube channel now.
The entire journey's on there. And yeah, great.
Excellent. So, friends at home, if you could do the honors and like and subscribe, click the notification bell. Don't forget to do it now, because so many people forget and they say, Chris, I haven't seen you for 2 years. I used to love your podcast. And it's like, yeah, you forgot to subscribe. So have a subscribe, folks. And thank you to everyone that supports us as either a YouTube channel member or on our Patreon, all $1.99 a month, folks. It's half a cup of coffee a month. For our uncensored material, go to Locals. And that just leaves me to say thanks again to Mitch, and well done again. Massive love to you all. Go steady. I'll see you soon. 'Cause I've been living life right like I